There's a particular piece of legislation called LD 1088, and it's a tax reform package that would extend the sales tax but lower the income tax. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, LD 1088 is a different version from what we tried to do 2 years ago. It's a smaller version, but what we're trying to do is bring tax relief to everybody here in the state of Maine by lowering the income tax to a 6.5% flat tax across the board. There would still be exemptions that they would have, different credits that they could work in as far as children, mortgage interest, and other things such as that. But we feel at the 8.5% tax now that it's really been a deterrent to getting companies to move into the state of Maine, to get people to stay in the state of Maine. So by broadening the sales tax on different services, especially services that are exportable, that are being paid by people who don't live here in the state of Maine, will enable us to lower the income tax rate for all of the Maine citizens.
By extending the sales tax, would that put a damper on tourists that are coming into the state? They say, oh, well, the sales tax, that's increasing. I can't afford to have a vacation in the state of Maine, which could in turn hurt businesses. Do you look at it that way?
Well, we have a lot of data, and I'm sure you've probably seen in the newspapers this past winter, the ski areas were the busiest they've ever been. Most of our tourism depends on the weather. If it snows, we have a good year on the ski mountains. If it's sunny, we have a good year for the beaches. I think what happens now is more and more people wait to plan their vacations, and they really wait upon the weather, whether or not they're coming up here, if it's going to be nice and sunny and such. I don't think that the tax really is a deterrent to anybody coming to the state of Maine. People usually travel because they have family, or it's a specific place they want to visit. And if their family lives in Maine, they're not going to forego coming to Maine because the income tax is 8% on meals or 10% on lodging or whatever it comes out to be, or any mix in between. Vermont is 8.5% on their meals and lodging tax. So I think people are going to travel anyway, and I think especially where we're located geographically, the weather is the biggest deterrent on whether or not we have a good season or a bad season, and whether it's in the summer or the winter.
Even though that millions of Americans are losing their jobs and people are having to make cuts in their own way of life in order to make do you think that weather is the major deterrent when people are having to pinch every single penny that they can? So if they're making a vacation this summer, why choose Maine when you can go to another state and it has a cheaper atmosphere for them to come there?
I'm not saying weather is the only factor. I'm saying that that's the chief reason, whether these industries have a good season or whether or not they have a bad season on that. I'm saying that the raising the rate, I don't think will have that much of a deterrent to people who are going to come anyway. It's like going to New York. People will pay the sales tax down there because they want to go to New York. You're going to Florida for Florida vacation. Most people don't even know what the sales tax is when they book a room down at Disneyland. Whether it's 10% or 14%, they have different rates. So I think Maine has the beauty that people are going to want to come to. We have the mountains, we have whitewater rafting, we have the boating, we have a beautiful coastline, and I think the people that can afford to take a vacation, it's not going to matter if the sales tax on meals and lodgings is 7%, which it is currently, or whether it's 8% or 9%. I think those people who are going to vacation are still going to come anyway. The people who don't have the money to go on a vacation, they're not coming anyway.
Very quickly, in terms of the businesses that this will affect, is it just entertainment-related industries?
Well, the meals and lodging tax will affect all of course, the restaurant and the lodging. What we've also talked about is broadening the sales tax, which is the 5% tax that we have now, to other services and other industries, such as amusements, movie tickets, museums, plays, a lot of the stuff that's discretionary spending, that people don't have to buy this. So we will be broadening it in those types of areas and off to services. Okay, with that, we're going to take a short break, but when we return on Youth and Politics more with State Representative Linda Valentino. Don't go away.
Staying on the topic of the economy, there are a number of ballot measures this coming November that could possibly affect tax revenue or the economy in general. There's the excise tax repeal that it would essentially cut the excise tax in half and also give special incentives for energy efficiency requirements. We also have Tabor 2, which would directly tie any increases in government spending and tie that to inflation and population increases. And we also have the school consolidation, possible repeal of the law. So there are a number of things that tie specifically to that. Let's start talking about that. The excise tax repeal, if that goes through, what's going to happen to those municipalities that are dependent upon that tax for that revenue?
The municipalities will be impacted because the excise tax, of course, goes back to the municipalities. And if the municipalities have less money from the excise tax, the only thing that they'll be able to do is either decrease their budgets or increase the mill rate for property tax revenue. So I think that the repeal of the excise tax, where it all goes back to the communities, would really hurt the people who are trying to do something to reduce property taxes.
Tabor 2. We just saw Tabor, what was it, 2006, and it got defeated. Do you think Tabor 2 has a chance?
I do think Tabor 2 has a chance this time, and the reason being is, of course, the economy. That people are very angry, they're very upset, they're very frustrated with their government. They want an immediate solution and a reaction. We also promised tax reform. We have not done it. Hopefully, this 1088 will be voted out this time. So I think there's a general frustration with people in government right now. So I'm not sure how Tabor 2 is going to make out. That's going to depend how we end our session, I think.
Very quickly, school consolidation. If the bill is repealed, what will the legislature and the Department of Education have to do to shore up those millions of dollars that could have been saved through that law?
Well, if school consolidation is repealed, it would obviously impact the budget. The first thing that would have to be done is the Appropriations Committee, Revenue Forecasting Committees, everybody would have to come back to the state. The governor may even have to call a special session to get us all back in there, because we're going to have to find some money in the budget. We booked over almost $35 million for school consolidation, and if this is repealed, plus a lot of schools have actually liked this and have grasped it. I know Saco, Old Orchard Beach, and Dayton have been working extensively on this, and I think a lot of schools think it's a good thing.